Good afternoon. My name is James Wafula, and I am currently standing in my veranda where I have placed my vermiculture project. Now, vermiculture really means breeding of earthworms so as to have them produce in large numbers, and with those large numbers you're able to then carry on further inoculation of other bins, as well as move on into the vermicomposting project, producing of the compost from the earthworms. Now what we are looking at here are a set of 6 bins stacked upon each other, and these bins are placed in a frame for easy access, because every so often you will need to check the condition of the bins, and you want to be able to access them quite easily, access every segment of the bin. Welcome back. Now, to begin the vermiculture process, one, of course, has to have the bin. This is the top bin over here. And in this bin, we place carbonaceous material or organic material known as the vermibed. The vermibed should have properties such that it is there's good aeration. It's able to have air pass through it, as well as being able to absorb water, because earthworms need a moist environment in order for them to thrive. So these materials are mostly found on practically every smallholder premises. There are different sorts of materials, but the ones that I find most pragmatic are the banana stems and the maize cobs. So that forms the vermibed. On top of this vermibed is placed now the organic waste material from the livestock. In my particular case, I've used sheep dung as well as cattle dung. And onto this is now we inoculate this now with our earthworms. Each bin will initially receive two handfuls of earthworms, and given their prolific nature in terms of breeding capacity, they are able to breed very quickly, and within a few months the whole of the bin will have been populated with earthworms. Okay, welcome back. Now, as an example of how I inoculate the earthworms, I will take a handful of these earthworms, like these ones that I'm holding in my hand, and inoculate these in the bin as I spread them out equally throughout the bin, and within a couple of months they will have multiplied greatly throughout the bin. Thank you. Welcome back. Now, what we have here, what you're seeing here, is another set of bins that have been inoculated with earthworms from the original set. And this, as you can see, is made from different material. This is actually the offcuts from the timber, illustrating that you don't actually need to buy the set of bins that we saw. You can actually make this quite easily with material that you have in your homestead. The only drawback will be you will not be able to collect any of that liquid that you use as you moisten the vermibed. This, of course, will go to waste. But for those that indeed want to collect the vermiliquid, as it is called, it is good to use a plastic container, even if you are improvising one. Like the one that I have here, this is another improvised bin that is already full of earthworms. And as you maintain the moisture content of this vermibed, you'll be able to draw a liquid out of it, known as the vermiliquid. Of course, you maintain the moisture content at anything between 40% upwards to about 80 or 90%. And that is good enough for the earthworms. And you drain it, or it drains off by itself, and that forms the vermiliquid. So what we have here is another set of improvised bins. Of course, the one in the foreground is another plastic bin, or rather PVC bin, and the one in the background is a wooden box that again has been improvised for the vermiculture process. As it is now, there are loads and loads of earthworms inside of these two bins. The vermiculture pilot project has actually been very successful in that from here henceforth I'm able to collect the earthworms from here and then use them to inoculate other bins. So what we have here is an example of my vermicomposting pilot project. So what you see here is an ordinary water tank that has been, of course, cut off. And at the bottom of this water tank, it is resting actually on a raised platform. At the bottom of the water tank, there is a wire mesh. And inside this cutout water tank is the vermibedding, in which I have placed the earthworms. Now, as compared to the vermiculture procedure, a much larger density of earthworms is required for the vermicomposting project. The vermiculture, for instance, I said I inoculated it with 2 kilograms per meter squared. For the vermicomposting project, the literature says we have to inoculate with at least or just about 10 kilograms for every meter squared. And that's why it is important to first of all have a vermiculture process taking place, from which you can then collect your earthworms and inoculate them into the bin, as I'm doing right now. These are going to find their way into the vermibedding, and gradually they will eat and produce what we are looking for, the vermicompost, also known as the castings, also known as the earthworm castings. Now, as we continue to inoculate the bin with the earthworms, of course, the volume of the vermibedding will rise up, will continue rising up. It will continue increasing. And these earthworms are known as, they are actually surface earthworms. They live within the top 6 inches of the soil. So the more bedding you place onto the vermicomposting bin, the earthworms find their way to the top 6 inches, thereby allowing you room to actually collect the bottom layer by scraping it out of the bottom beneath the wire mesh, and that forms your vermicompost.